I would hate to do this debut and it doesn't go well. Like, it would be really embarrassing for Black women if all of this press and I didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
Like, I think that was more so what I kept thinking to myself. Like, I really want to do a good job, not just because it's my debut, but now I have to think, like, I can't do a bad job because it'll be embarrassing. I don't want anyone to ever be like, well, she got it because she's Black. You know, it's just because she's Black.
Yeah.
And a lot of that does happen. Like, that's my Instagram comments and messages are filled with stuff like that. So I feel like the one thing that I try to be a control freak about is to be like, well, at least I did a good job.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Grace and Form podcast, your backstage pass to the world of movement and the people and stories that shape it. Today on the pod, we are speaking to India Bradley, dancer with the New York City Ballet and one of the most captivating rising stars in the ballet world today. In an art form where progress often lies in someone else's hands, India speaks candidly about what it means to stay grounded, resilient, and true to yourself when the next step isn't always yours to decide. From the early years at Dance Theatre of Harlem to carving her place at New York City Ballet, she's learned to find power not in perfection, but in persistence. Her words really hit home to me and Indy, and I know they're going to with you too. Let's get into it. This season of the Grace and Form podcast is sponsored by Discount Dance. Okay, so I have to say, Discount Dance has a place in my heart and so many memories. As a young dancer, I would sit down with my mum, we'd scroll on the laptop, and I'd pick out all the things that I wanted for my season that I was doing or something new at school. I always had a leotard, accessories, new shoes that I had to have. And whether you're new to the dance world or you're a professional, you'll know that feeling. You gotta have the best stuff, things that make you feel good, feel comfortable, and let you move in the way that you want. And Discount Dance has it all, the best brands at the best prices. We've also gone ahead and gotten our Grace and Form teachers to create their favorite Leos, shoes, accessories, so you can see what we would choose on the site today. So go check out the show notes. I've personally left my go-tos as well, so I'd love you guys to have a look. And they've been so kind to give us a discount code too, so you can go and shop our curated list or anything that you want with the code FORM20 for 20% off and free delivery on all orders over $50. So the discount code is FORM, FORM20. Go and check it out at discountdance.com today.
We'll start straight away. And what's kind of a joyful, like for me, is I know nothing. I share none of these memories with you. So I know all the questions.
This is really fun. Because she's going to be like, hey.
Yeah. I mean, Andy's going to try and interrupt this one. Do you know that one? Every minute, such a little pooper over that.
That's inside jokes. And most of the jokes she made up. And she just says to me, because she knows I'll be like, shut up.
You're the only one who knows that. How did you, like, when, do you guys remember when you first met? Or Indy, do you remember when you first met Indiana?
I definitely know that our names, are kind of the same.
I felt that when I was saying it right now.
I remember how I met your friend. I remember how I met, like, the people that you were, like, the same age, like Unit and Ashley Hod,
but not me.
And not even really met them. Like, I remember I was a super during Sleeping Beauty when I was in my D year at the school.
You were?
Yes. And and this was before I was around when you guys got promoted to soloist. That's how I knew who you were, but I didn't know. I don't remember how we met, really.
I don't remember how we met. Maybe during,
I remember being like, oh, like, those two girls got promoted.
And I was like, weird name girls.
Yeah.
Unity, Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't remember. I just remember it was kind of like,
but I feel like it could have been a piece. Because usually somehow we're like involved in some weird.
I did a lot of gigs in my first year after my apprentice year. And we did.
What did we do?
A couple things together.
Oh, that's how we met.
But that's not how we met, Indiana. I had like already like taken care of Luna like many, many times before Luna's that summer.
Also, India is her second mom.
Aww.
And
well, it took a village. You got her. We were apprentices together, me and Luna.
Yes.
You got her when I was brand new.
That's why.
And that kind of, and you were still in my dressing room. Oh,
that's why. Okay, so you were dressing room mates. Okay, we got that. Okay, so then all the conversations you guys have, all the knowledge Indy has about you, I want to now like somehow try and absorb. So you're gonna take me back. You gotta tell me about little India. Like I want to know, where are you from? Who was the little person? How would you describe her?
God. Okay, well, I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I was at school. First of all, I loved going to school socially, because I thrived at school socially. I just like, I loved my friends. I would get in trouble for talking in class a lot. Like my grades weren't poor, but we had like, I don't know if every school has this, but like citizenship, and you would get like a 1. A 1 was like you were the least disturbing, like very focused student. Teachers loved you. A 3 was like, we have to call your parents. It's pretty. And I would only get 2s and 3s. Like only 2 was like, okay, she's talkative, but like she's not a bad student. And I would pretty much get 2s, but a lot of times I would get 3s. And that's just kind of like who I was. I would like cry when I had to go to ballet instead of like being able to go to like sleepovers and stuff. That like always made me really sad to like miss like social activities. You were activities in elementary school. I was my teacher used to call Mr. Hayes used to call me a social butterfly.
Yeah, you're just fluttering around, making sure that you're everywhere.
Flutter, and could not shut my mouth. And my mom always tells this story that like when she came up to my school, because my teacher was like, she's just so like she will not shut her mouth, and they brought me out of the class, and they were like talking in front of me, and she's like, she just blah blah, and it's like kind of a disruptive. Keep in mind, this was vocal class, and she was like, "You're too vocal for vocal class." Like I was at, and so, but in my mind, I was like, "It's fucking vocal class." Like,
yeah.
Who cares? And so she's like talking to my mom and her turn to me, and they're like, "India, when we go back in that classroom, are we gonna behave and like settle down, and are we gonna stop talking?" And my mom says, I was like, "No." So I don't know, pretty like assertive and definitely social, but I do remember being like,
yeah, we've got giants above us.
But how quaint and cute.
That's beautiful.
That's beautiful. You got giants above us.
You're so sweet. I just wanted to make sure that you felt like the universe was touching you while the pipes are dripping.
So
thank you.
Turning an old New York building into a romance.
And then this is why I've got a podcast mic in front of me.
You're good at this.
I try.
Yeah, I would say I was just like a really social child. I didn't like conflict though at all. And so like when I would get in trouble, I would just be like, ugh. But then like in certain, but like I was honest. And I feel like all those things like still apply to me today, probably like extremely social, kind of maybe avoidant of conflict, and but still like unashamed.
I love that. I mean, that's the best part of you. That's you. You're just the best. It's so nice. Indeed, and that's indeed. Just like literally sees the best of everyone. Come on.
We're just the best.
No, I'm
the best.
So my like intrigue though is that if you were somebody that was very like, and I get this too, I think when I'm like was a kid, I loved being social, I think, because I knew that I was good at it. And so then I like to be the center of attention in that way. But I found it so interesting that then like ballet or dance was this other language of yours, which is totally non-vocal
at all.
When did that start? Was that like,
and I had a heart. I was not very talented. But hey, and this is just coming from my own personal perspective. I was not very good for a long time, like for a very long, like honestly, until like maybe right before I came to SAB. I was like,
and you came to SAB when?
2014 was my first year.
How old were you?
And I was what years ago? So I was 15.
Okay, so from your perspective, from when you started to 15, you weren't great.
No. No, I know for a fact that I wasn't. I was not a very good. I mean, I was a very loosey, really wet noodle, kind of girl. Still am. And it was like always really hard for me to like, understand like how to put all my long parts together.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I didn't understand.
Oh, I've seen you.
I did not understand it. I'm still trying to figure it out. By the way,
Pilates.
I am doing Pilates, but I didn't know much about how that would help me in my life for a very long time. I wish someone had have maybe forced me more into it.
But you figured it out.
But I figured it out
about it, and I was like, I think maybe you were asking me something. And I was like, have you tried gyro or Pilates or something? And you were like, I'm doing Pilates, but like, I don't want to pay for like a million things.
Yeah.
Like stick to what, honestly, of course, like a lot of things are really wonderful. Yeah. For strength and stuff and the little muscle of Pilates, just.
I know. And everybody's different.
Yeah.
But I was like, something at gyro I love, but it's not something that I think I absolutely need to like make sure that I can get on stage successfully. Length is never usually the gist of my problem. It's more strength. But I would say when I was younger, I just wasn't very confident in like what I could do. Like I did not know. And for a while, my body and my mind just like were not connected. And maybe like I'm still getting there. But I just didn't, like, I remember the day I realized I could do a soda shaw. And I was like, I can split my legs in the air. And like, and like over, like I was so flexible. My legs would go like this in the air. And people were like, when did you learn to do that? And I was like, I don't know.
Just got it.
Like it just happened. But that was like I was not like 7. I was like 12. I have a photo of it. It was like, I was at some like summer court, like a summer camp, and I like whipped and I just like did a jump and everyone was like, that's really good. And I was like 13. So then like a year or 2 later I went to SAB.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I wasn't like a little prodigy.
Well, I read your mum was a dancer.
She sure was.
Because I stalked you obviously before this podcast. And Andy also gave me notes and she was like, Mum was dancer. I was like, Mum was dancer. And then I obviously looked into it and I read that your mum went to Alvin Ailey, or she danced.
She danced with Alvin Ailey. I always forget how long. Sorry, Mom. Something around 10 years.
I don't know amount of time.
It's a good chunk of time. What was it? I'm almost 10 years at City Ballet, so that's kind of wild.
I know. It goes fast.
So fast.
I can't really imagine being raised by a dancer.
Okay, well Judy, let me tell you. Judy is not just a dancer. She is what my sister and I would probably say is just like a phenomenon of a character. Like Judy is like a character in a book that you would be like, this woman has all the things. Like, and she's lived so many lives. She was like a dancer for the Pistons, basketball team back in like I have no idea. I can't remember. She did Broadway shows. She like everything. Literally, she was like a backup dancer for Aretha Franklin and Earth, Wind and Fire, and like
oh my gosh,
the OJs, and like all these like so many different lives. Like, you know. So when I was younger, like when you say like being raised by a dancer, it wasn't really like. It was just like I was just going on adventures with my mom because she was just like always doing something. She's a very busybody, can never sit still. 6 a.m. she's up in the kitchen and she's singing a song. And that's just like how I kind of came about, because she was always doing stuff, and so then I would just be there. Like if she were just like teaching a random like class that someone invited her to teach, I would just like be there because I was her daughter, and I would like bring my coloring books, and then I would end up like dancing in the back.
I was gonna say you start to mirror what she was doing.
Exactly. Yeah. And then that was just kind of, she wasn't like a dance mom or anything.
Make you, or didn't like gently introduce you to dancing.
It was just like she was doing her own life, and I was also there.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is cool. I'm so glad she doesn't like working in an office. It would be so much more like so boring.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she just was like, I don't think she was against it, but I definitely know she did not expect me to be interested in dance, especially not ballet.
Did it bring you guys closer that you had that shared language? Or was it even more like, I mean, I feel like relationships with mums are always interesting anyways, because they're very much, as a general whole, I always think they're more mirrors to yourself because you're looking at them from that perspective. Also, a lot of people maybe spend more time with their mum.
Right, which I did for sure. I mean, my mom moved everywhere that I needed to be in order to get the training that I needed and the things that I wanted to do. Oh my God, we would just like pick up and leave. And I remember telling her at the end of 8th grade, I was like, I can't go to high school in Michigan. There's nowhere good enough for ballet. And because around like 12, I was like starting to get pretty serious. I'd gone to a probably one of the best ballet schools in Michigan, besides wherever everybody comes from that lives in Grand Rapids. Everybody's from freaking Grand Rapids.
Too?
Yeah. Isabella, Maria, Lars, James, Gilmore. I don't know who that is.
James is it?
Quinn Starner. Quinn Starner is from Kennedy. Is from
Kennedy too?
You
need to get everybody on the podcast.
There's so many people.
Yeah.
From Michigan, and I don't know if they're all from the exact same studio, but it's like Grand Rapids area, and I'm like, I don't know where I was, but yeah, and I did a decent job as well.
You're an amazing dancer.
And I just remember telling my mom like I can't, and so she started doing research, and she was like best performing arts high schools in the country, and we like did all this research. I was like 11. She did all this research and like found all these schools, found this incredible performing arts school, because I was like very performing arts based in general when I was younger. Like I would go to summer camps and do like acting, singing, theater, dance, jazz, like everything. It wasn't just like, I wasn't very ballet focused when I was young.
You were
I was like a performer, so I would just like, I would go and I would like have lines to learn that summer, and like I always thought it was just really fun. And so I think when we were just like, okay, we need to find somewhere that's like has a really good dance program, but also is just like maybe performing arts in general. And so we moved, just me and my mother, to Dallas, Texas, and I lived there for like 9 to 10 months and went to a high school called Booker T. Washington for the Performing and Visual Arts. Booker T. Washington High School for the Performing and Visual Arts.
Mouthful, yeah.
Mouthful. And it was the best time ever. Like I had the best time ever. I was like 13, 9th grade. Lovely. And it did its time. And then I was like, okay, I like spent some time there, and I was like, I think I need to be like really focused on ballet. Like everybody here is telling me that I really need to focus on ballet. And that was when I was like, that's what I'm saying. Like I was already like 13, 14 when I was like, I should probably like focus on strictly just like one thing, ballet. And I think I'm just a really indecisive person, so it took me a long time to figure out maybe exactly what I wanted to do. But my mom was like, okay, we're moving to New York. And I went to Dance Route, and that's when I went to Dance Route. Like she was just like, we would just like pick up and go, just me and my mom.
I mean, but also, I mean, it might have taken you a long time to figure out what you wanted to do, but putting anything on a kid of like 11, 12, 13.
Right. Yeah. Which like,
I will look at it
differently.
Think about it. Yeah, it's very young.
In actuality, like, that's an absurd timeline to be like, it took me so long to figure out what I wanted to do.
It's related to your experience.
Right.
I think it's so amazing. Like, what an incredible parental experience to be like collaborating with your kid.
Child. Oh, that's so cool to be like I've never heard
I think it's like so sweet. Like I think I had that relation. I think most probably dancers or any or anyone who's trying to do something at a young age, like if they have supportive parents, they have a different kind of almost like dialogue. And then your mom,
that's very true.
Serious.
Yeah.
And then your mom came back to New York, which is where Alvin is,
which is
with you.
She must have been like, I cannot believe what my life is. Like the children how like your child brings you full circle in your own life. Like I feel like she was just like, what is happening? And the whole thing with like Arthur kind of bringing me there and like all this, and like the connection between Ailey and DTH, and like how odd that must have been for her to be like, I cannot believe my child is like, and at DTH is where I met my teacher who was in New York City Ballet. Like it was all very destined. You can tell, like it all worked. Yeah, it just all really worked. And we had to make all these like detours to get to where I am now. But it was definitely, my mom and I definitely have a collaboration. That is for sure. But at all times, she would be like, if you want to stop, or if you want to take a break, or if you don't want to do this anymore, just tell me. And I always think it's funny when parents are like that with very like kind of children who like are artistically kind of inclined to be like independent and like assertive. How like it's kind of like a like I feel like every time she would say that, I would get mad. I would be like, how dare you say that? I'm not gonna, after I like just had a mental breakdown, like, and I'm like, I'm not quitting, but she needs you to take a break.
It's like almost a test.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like,
I feel like my mom did that too.
Right?
It's like, oh wait, no, I'm serious.
It's like reverse psychology or something.
Like, no, that's that.
Yeah.
You cannot say I'm quitting. What do you mean?
Like all the times I'm crying about not going to sleep, or just, you can go to the sleep. What do you mean?
You're like,
I can't. I have rehearsal.
I have ballet.
I have rehearsal. I have rehearsal today. I'm running my variation.
Reverse psychology.
You're like,
maybe
you know,
realize.
but I think it's without even realizing. It's just like the type of, when you have that type of child, they end up being like, wait, no, I don't want to quit.
Yeah.
Why did I? But I think, yeah, it's not. I don't even think it was intentional. She was genuinely being like, if you want to stop, we can. This is a lot, you know. And I was just like, no.
And then you guys moved to New York together.
And then we moved to New York together.
Yeah, you were at Dance Theater of Harlem.
And I went to Dance Theater of Harlem for 1 school year.
Oh, wow.
But I went for 2 summers. So I went in like 2012 and 2013 for the summer. And they had asked me to like, they really wanted to like me to like commit to being there for the school year. And like really, they were having conversations with my mom about my future and things like that. And my mom was just like, whoa, like she's 12, she's 13. I don't think so. And also if she moves here, don't feel comfortable sending her alone, because like DTH doesn't have dorms and things like that. So it would just be me living there. And also like my mom's point of view of New York is like New York in the 80s.
Yeah.
Which was a very, very different place.
Yeah,
and so I can only imagine her being like, I'm not sending my 13-year-old child to the city by herself.
No way.
Even though I ended up here by myself when I was 15. Very different vibe. I was in the dorms at SAB by then. But I was at DTH for 2 summers. And then after that second summer, I stayed for the whole winter term. And that was 2013 and 2014.
And those were like, who was your teacher at DTH that was in the New York City Ballet?
I had many teachers at DTH, by the way.
I want to hear.
That I still think of. Endlin Taylor. They were all like old. I'm not saying old in a
bad way.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Just like people who were once in Dance Theater of Harlem, back when Dance Theater of Harlem was kind of booming with Arthur Mitchell as the director, and had like a ton of company members, like when they were doing like full productions of Giselle, like literally. So I had many, many teachers that I loved and adored. But Andrea Long was someone that I met during those summer courses, and she was teaching at DTH. I think back then she was teaching there full time. Wow, even DTH is such a different place now. Like the teachers and everybody's like in different places now. It's like SAV, like the teachers are so different now. Like you don't realize, like, but that was like the 2010s, and now it's just like over.
Yeah.
Like it's a very different, place and generation or whatever. But Andrea was someone I met, and it was like as soon as she saw me, she was like, oh. Oh God, like another woman in my life that is just a phenomenal human being.
And she kind of became a mentor, right?
And she kind of became my mentor, and not even kind of, definitely became my mentor. Became my mentor, because it was just like having someone that, well, first of all, she was the first person to be like, I think you should audition for this place called School of American Ballet, and I was like, what's that? I wasn't a bunhead. Like, I just didn't know anything or anyone like that. And nor did I really care. I was just like along for the ride that life was taking me on. And I ended up at DTH. And I was like, okay, this teacher's telling me to look into this school. And so I went home and I YouTubed everything that I possibly could about School of American Ballet and New York City Ballet. And I was like, Mom, I know where I'm going. I know what I'm doing. Like, I figured out. I know the rest of my life I'm going to be in New York City Ballet.
Aww.
And so then Andrea started being like, okay, I'm going to train you so that you can go and audition and hopefully get into their summer program. And Andrea, like, if anyone knows, like, she beat my booty. Like, she would scream at me so badly in class and no. And I would be like, and I came from, like, you know, the school that I went to in Michigan was Russian based in Vaganova. And so she would be tapping my elbow up and lift your elbow. When you say all 5 fingers, she would scream at me and straighten that back leg before your pirouette. And I'd be like, I don't even know. I can't even.
Back.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah. And we changed, or when I transitioned, I was like,
what is going on?
Yeah.
What is happening? But then when I went to SAB for the summer, I was like, oh, hell yeah. I was like, yes, this feels amazing. I was like, it was so me. I remember Kay Mazo did my placement class or my audition class for the summer course. And because I was living in the city, I auditioned here in the city in Studio 4 at SAB, and every single teacher was there. Talking Jock Soto, Arch Higgins, Darcy, Susie, Suki, every single, Dina Abergel was there, Killian was there, like literally every single teacher that was a teacher at the School of American Ballet at the time was there. And I remember being like, this is insane. But I think I always say, I think me being so naive was such a blessing in so many moments in my life, because things like that would have made me probably very nervous when I was younger, but I didn't know who anybody was. So it didn't matter. Yeah. Like I did not know who anyone was. I knew who Jock was because he was in like a video I found on YouTube.
Yeah.
But he taught the boys from what I saw on YouTube, but all I knew was that he mainly taught the boys. So I was like, you know, like, and I didn't, at that age and from what I knew, I didn't know the significance. Even if I knew maybe the name of someone, I didn't know the significance of who they were, what they did, and what they had accomplished. And in terms of like the entity of like this huge place, I just didn't understand any of it. And thank God I didn't, because I was just like,
yeah, I had a similar like upbringing going into the school as well, where I didn't know anybody or anything about it. And I'm very grateful I didn't, because I'm a nervous person.
Yeah.
I can get anxious.
yeah.
And it was great because you just were just yourself.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
And then obviously you learn about the people, and you're like, wow, that's pretty cool what they did and like what they've achieved and who they are.
Totally.
But you see them like as a human.
Yeah, exactly. You know, like I was just like, oh, a bunch of like adults in the front of the room.
Yeah.
Like cute. And I was like, it's so fun to have an audience.
Yeah. You're performing.
Yeah, I was like, I was like, I'm a performer. Let's do it. And I remember they had lined us up by alphabetical. We had numbers, but we got numbers based on alphabetical, like our last names or whatever. So I was in Studio 4, the first person at the bar, because my last name is Bradley. And I was the first spot at the bar. And I just remember every time I would do a combination, and maybe sometimes I would mess up or something, and all the heads would go like that. And I remember being like, gosh, I don't know how it went, like blah, 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 blah. Turns out I got a full scholarship, so it worked out.
Yeah.
And and that was it from DTH to SAB, and I don't want to say the rest is history, because we're going to talk about the rest. But that's kind of the beginning.
So then you went to the school. How many years did you go?
Yeah,
be before that?
C1, C2, and D, baby. A classic trio.
Nice.
Amount of years. And it was, I loved SAB, but I definitely had like, maybe not the most like traditional experience. And I got in a lot of trouble. I honestly, when I talk about it, I'm like, I've stayed true to myself my whole life. I genuinely haven't changed. I got in so much trouble socially, not at ballet, but socially. Like, it was never about like my work or not like being a student. It was like always like socially, I was doing something I maybe shouldn't have been doing. And I had a lot of fun. But I also like went through like my first, like I remember getting my extra bone removed and having surgery, and that was like a huge thing for me.
Oh gosh.
Because I was in C2 and it was like the first year you get to do workshop, and I had to miss workshop, and I was like learning really cool things.
Also, like, you feel like it's your most important formative years of your life.
It felt like the end of the world. Yeah. Like, I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get a job, and I'm definitely not gonna get into New York City Ballet if I'm not even doing workshop. I was like, if I'm not doing workshop, I'm done. I'm done. I'm just like, I'm done. And I remember we had such good ballets those years. I mean, we were doing back in the day when we did full-length ballets for workshop. I know. We were doing like dance class and Fortes. And the boys did Less Gentle Homies. the Gentle Homies. I love it. By Peter Martins. It was like such a and I remember being like, if I don't do Fortes right now, I'm never gonna do Fortes. And then you get in the company and you wish for the days that you were like, I probably won't ever do this. Like, it's just so funny. It went so much when I first got in, and I remember just laughing at myself. Like,
yeah, you were like, oh, now I'm doing this.
Now I'm doing this every single night. A roach every single night. You know. But it was another time in life where it was just like, you're so young and you think it's all going so poorly, but little do you know, it's just like one small period. It felt like forever, but so yeah, I got that surgery, and that was 2016. Missed workshop, thought my life was over, and then my D year started, and I was still not all the way healed from my surgery. And I remember Peter was teaching the first Saturday of the week, which was so abnormal. He normally taught like maybe twice the whole year. And for whatever reason, our year, he taught like the first 4 Saturdays of the year, like every single weekend. Normally we would have like J-staff. Our generation called him J-staff. and John would walk in and we'd be like, yeah, John is teaching. Because John was like the cool teacher. And so like the chill teacher, and you could like have fun and be like, and so when Peter walked in, or everybody was like, okay, Peter's teaching, but I don't know if that's real. And we were like, okay, yeah, Peter's teaching. And I hadn't healed, my foot hadn't healed all the way. And I was like, but you know what? I didn't do workshop in C2. So I've got to figure out how I'm going to do this, because I can't be like, hey, you never saw me dance in workshop, and I'm going to be sitting in the front of the studio like one of those injured kids. I was like, that's not going to be me. Yeah. That is not going to be my life story. I slapped on those Pointe shoes for the first time like since before I had that surgery. Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. And I did the full class as if nothing was wrong.
Wow.
Oh, honey, I did the I don't even, it was one of those things where like you were just young, so your body just did it.
Say,
yeah.
Just like
because if I tried to do that, no.
Oh my God.
But it wouldn't have happened.
I feel like every year that goes on, it's like, now I stub my toe and I almost cry.
And I'm like, I get Tommy. I gotta call him.
I'm out.
I'm like, Tommy, I'm out. I dropped a candle on my foot last Nutcracker, and I was like, Christine, I gotta call out. I can't do it.
No, I mean, I honestly, I don't have the same kind of pain threshold at all as I did in like my late teens or even like a year ago.
I don't even know what that is. It just gets worse every year.
It does. But you did it. You showed up, and I'm guessing that the end result of that was, you know, the catalyst to your career.
I keep being like, and then it all worked out.
Yes. So maybe like not the healthiest choice in terms of what one would recommend, but sometimes you just got to do it.
I would like to say, full transparency, I do not recommend doing that. But also, I would like to say the one recommendation I would give is to know yourself and know where you are in your own life and figure out what you think in the moment is the best decision. Like, actually think about it. I'm an overthinker. So by the time I got into that decision, I was like, I've thought about this all week, Monday through Friday.
Yeah.
I was like, am I taking this class on Saturday? And I was like, I got to Saturday and I put on those boots.
And you did it.
And I did it. So I was like, and I got the job. So it's like, you know, I wouldn't recommend dancing through pain. Not that I was in pain, but I maybe wasn't ready to be like doing a full Pointe class. I think that's the other difference, is that I wasn't like, I just like broke my foot, I'm gonna do it anyways. I was like recovering. So it wasn't as crazy, but still, like, definitely like know your own body. But I was like, I can do it. I was like, I can do it.
But you got the job. And then my thought then is like going back to what you were saying about almost like that naivety you had when you were like standing in the audition and you had all the teachers there.
Right.
Okay, so you've been in the school a little while and you have like probably now predictions or like visions of what your life is going to be like if you get into the company.
Right. Yeah.
I'm so intrigued to know, like, I always think that naivety is like the most freeing tool in life, because when you don't know, you don't care. But when you start to know, you start to care. And like, can you think of anything now that you've been almost 10 years in the company that have surprised you, or you felt like you thought were going to be one way and they've been maybe more challenging because you know now?
Oh my God, like my entire career.
Yeah.
Like that is literally, I feel like, the base of being a dancer in New York City Ballet anyways. That's the only one I can speak for, because that's the only experience I've had. But I remember my first rehearsal. This is really all going in chronological order, to be honest. My first rehearsal as an apprentice, we were doing Peter's Swan Lake, which is ironically coming back this season for the first time since
a long time.
And since almost then. Yeah, almost. We did it like maybe again a year later. Yeah. But we had rehearsal for it, and with Rosemary, and it was my first rehearsal ever with the company. It was the hardest thing I had ever done at that point in my life.
Yeah.
And we're talking like going from SAB, where like you have 2 classes a day and your D year you're done at like 2 p.m. to like you have class, I don't know, we probably had like Crammy or somebody like back in the day, and then we had a 12 to 3 Swan Lake rehearsal for the Swans with Rosemary. 12 to 3.
That's a long time.
And I don't know why we don't really like really rehearse that way anymore, but at the time we used to, and I had 12 to 3 Swan Lake and 4 to 7 understudy of like a new ballet, and that was just like my day every single day. And it was the hardest thing I had ever done at that point in my life. Rosemary was still in her days of what shall I say, she demanded
tough cookie
a lot. Like she demanded you to be there and ready to dance and up on your box and ready to bourrée. She was like,
she got you in performance.
She got you in performance shape.
Like your mentor.
Literally.
Got you ready for SAB.
Exactly.
Like, okay, we're here.
I was like, okay, we're doing this right now. And it was a moment where I remember going home after that and being like, I don't know if I'm like cut out for this. Like that's like your apprentice year is genuinely that hard. Like the first nutcrackers and stuff that you do, it's all like so difficult that you're like, how do people do this? Yeah. Like you're like looking around like, is everyone okay? Like, how did you guys get through this? And then you do it and you're like, oh, like it's fine. But still, like, 50 snows is no joke.
Do you find ways to look after your body? Have you like
absolutely
now of like what you need?
Of course, but
go to.
But
just as a side note.
Well, okay. Because that's a loaded question as well. Because as you get older, you don't have the same. It's not about the same workload, but it's more like about because someone asked me this past Nutcracker. They were like, "Is it hard?" One of the dressers, they're like, "Is it harder like doing a bunch of different divertissements, or is it harder having every single show?" And I was like, well, they're just very different. Like it's very, very different to have like maybe only half the shows of Snow, but I still have like demi flowers and coffee and dewdrop and hot chocolate. And also like the pressure that you put on yourself for things that matter more, quote unquote. Not that one part doesn't matter more than another or less than another, but
Just
in your own mind, you put more pressure on things that are more featured because there's more pressure. Like, you know, if you maybe fall off a point in the back of flowers, you can like laugh about it because you're like, nobody probably saw that. And if they did, you know, I've got 40 more, it's fine. So it's just extremely different. And also that makes you take care of your body differently. Like it's just a very different, if I only have hot chocolate, that's like a night off for me. But also like sometimes some shows and a lot of shows, I'll have like snow demis in the matinee and dewdrop at night. Like, you know, like that's a much harder day than snow flowers still. But only because of like, it's like a mental thing as well, you know, like everyone's exhausted equally. And I'm still in the core, so it's not like I never see you during Nutcracker. But when you are there, you are doing something that's high pressure. But I'm still in the core, so I also have like all my normal core stuff. That's like kind of like puffy. And
how do you find that balance of that? And also,
It's been the hardest years.
it also feels different now. I feel like having such a different kind of side of your career too, where you've got to like think about the parts you're getting and doing internally, and then also like, you know, where you want to go in your career, and then also the other aspects that help further a career these days, which is like the social side of things, anything that you can do on the side to bolster it.
I know.
Do you ever sit down and like think about your career? And I'm sure you do, but how does that go now of like trying to almost like plan a map and feel any sort of like power over your career when you've got bosses that make all the decisions?
Girl, I'm right smack dab in the middle of that right now. I haven't figured all of it out.
No.
I'm like every single day. That's like kind of what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm okay that I don't know all the answers yet. And it's okay. But I would say I definitely feel like this time right now feels like, I think it's funny because I was just like, at the time that Swan Lake rehearsed, like my apprentice schedule was the hardest thing I had to go through at that time. But this part of my career definitely feels like the hardest time in life that I've ever experienced because I am less naive and I do know more, which, like we said before, is being naive is somewhat of a gift. Because, you know, naive equals less anxiety.
Nice thinking if you're an overthinker.
Like, it equals a lot of things. Like as like they say, like what do they say? When
What do they say? Tell me.
When they say, what do they say?
They definitely say something.
Or it's like ignorance is bliss. Ignorance is bliss. And unfortunately, I am a very conscious gal, and so as I'm 26 now, and I'm working like I don't have as many days off as you would think. Like as you get older, like I maybe have less Nutcracker shows, for instance, but I still have like maybe like 40. Like I don't have every single one, but because I have 4 different divertissements to do, I'm still there all the time, and I still have snow. So it's like I think it's like the most challenging physically in my career that I've faced so far, just because it's all over the place. And also it's definitely been the most challenging mentally because I'm all over the place. Because like I don't know where I am, and I don't know if I'm doing the right things or if I'm heading in the right direction, if I'm making the right decisions. I genuinely don't know. I'm just trying to like stay on the ride that life has given me, and I'm really trying to find meaning and stay positive about it all. And I do find that easy to do a lot of the times, but sometimes I don't. Like sometimes it is really, really hard to like wake up and go to work being like, I don't know where I stand right now, because I'm at a point in my career where I've done a lot of things, but there's also a lot of things that I haven't reached, and I'm still double duty. Like Harrison Ball used to call it a corloist.
Yeah, totally.
Because you never know. Like I could have a season of, I'm doing Concerto Barocco core for the first time, which is like, I'm like 6-7 years into the core, and it's my first time doing Barocco. So I'm still doing new things in the core and finding new experiences there in the core ballet, while also like facing like challenges that sometimes I feel like, like I'll be like maybe not as experienced as the other people who are also doing those roles. So it's like, it's really an interesting place to be in, but I'm trying to just like
find meaning in it.
And trying to just say that it's all meant to teach me something.
Yeah.
This podcast is an extension of our app, Grace and Form, where we bring ballet classes and ballet-inspired movement practices to you from beginner to pro, so everybody and everybody can experience our love of dance in their own home.
Absolutely, and we want to share everything that makes us feel amazing with you, and you don't even need a studio, and that's what's so wonderful about it. You can feel good anywhere.
So download the app, get a 7-day free trial, come move with me and Indy and some of our wonderful guests and incredible teachers.
We can't wait to see you.
I think like that's definitely like that, I think. And I feel like, last year, just going back like to a wonderful success was that you did Dewdrop.
Oh, I was like, what are you allowed to say?
Yeah.
Shows and stuff, and you were the first Black Dewdrop.
Yeah,
and
which is so
insane. That's insane.
Crazy. I still am like, how is that possible?
Yeah. And you had, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name right now. They came to our company from the state of Harlem.
Oh, Alexandra.
Oh, thank you.
Alexandra Hutchinson.
Yes. I was going to say Alexandra, but I couldn't remember the
Alex Hutchinson, shout out. She came and also did Dewdrop last year, or when we say last year, as in 2023, Nutcracker, because now it's 2020.
I did read about, it's wild.
Yeah, I know. That was 2020.
And I just put 2026 stickers on my car, which is so amazing. So like, I'm so mixed up. But yes, going back to when you did Dewdrop.
Yeah, that was a huge...
I also, when I was doing a pre-podcast stalk, I was reading about this and I was so interested because I feel like that was such a huge high. And also like, as you said, can you believe that you were the first Black dancer to do this part? But then also, how does that feel in terms of you being in a position where like you are the first person to this part?
Oh, I say this all the time. Without getting, because I don't want to ramble on for a long time about this because I've talked about it so much and I don't want to be like annoying about it, but I, as grateful as I am for these sorts of opportunities, like could not be more grateful. I cannot believe that life is like put me in these situations and giving me these opportunities. But Jesus Christ, the like anxiety that came adjacent to the experience was just like crazy. And I wish that like I was the type of person that like did not maybe go that route with like how I feel about those types of things, but it's almost inevitable because it is so much pressure that I never asked for.
Yeah.
Like I did not ask for no one before me to get the opportunity, no Black dancer before me to get an opportunity to do Dewdrop or anything else for that matter, because by the way, I'm the first Black dancer in Singing Ballet to do a lot of things. Yeah. Because there's just not that many of us. Like and Aisha was tall, so we don't even probably share a lot of the same rep. And Andrea was so before Aisha, she probably got little to no opportunities at all. Yeah. And Deborah was so long ago. Like, you know, we all have lived such different lives. And sorry for the people that I'm not remembering off the top of my head right now, but I just was like, as happy as I was to be there, my last rehearsal right before my debut, I cried so badly with Christine on stage because I was starting to like, I mean, which I realized this year was not just about like me in that particular experience. We all shared this thing with Dewdrop where you can over rehearse it and it starts to decline and you start to get in your head about like stupid stuff, and like the turns start to get weird because you're like, what is a turn? Wait, well, what is a forte? Like
the second you
wait, hold on, like do I always play there or
Girls next to you.
wait, yeah, and you're like,
oh my gosh,
wait,
you're gonna hit me, which never
has ever like ever, and you're like, wait, but do I usually hold on,
Yeah.
I can't always, okay, my big toe really hurts all of a sudden in this part, like what, like
I mean,
it's just a crazy a debut is already a lot, and so that extra it was like it was a lot of extra things, and there was a lot of press and there were cameras in the wings, and I just remember being like, I kind of wish that I had a debut of Dewdrop like everyone else.
Yeah. Instead of like an all
like 3 days later, like Emma Von Eyck debuted Dewdrop and nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
And I was like, hello. And she was like, she might have been a principal already, and she might have just had gotten promoted to principal or was about to be or something like that. She was no longer in the corps. Like she was like already like doing things. Like she was already like doing Sugar Plum and like stuff like that. Like, and I was like, I remember being like, hello, like, where'd you guys all go? But, and so then I realized, I was like, I mean, I know it's like an honor and such a privilege to be in this position, but I was just like, God, I really wish sometimes that I just could just focus on the fact that it's a debut.
Yeah.
And just like do that.
Yeah.
It was like, oh God, I just was like, this is a lot of pressure.
It's what I thought when I was reading the press around it. I thought I'd be so interested to ask you that, because to have to even say I feel so grateful and feel so honored and all those things, and have the added pressure put upon you.
Yeah.
I wondered whether you'd feel, and maybe there's a duality of feeling inspired by it because amazing, great, this should happen, but also at the same time, like, this isn't I want to know how well I've done at this part. And this is my opportunity for me.
It was like a lot of positivity around it for me after I was finished.
Yes.
When I came out for the finale, I was like, I was like, yes, whatever happens with these Arabesque turns, who cares?
Yeah.
I was like, it's done. Like when you hit that final pose, you're like, who cares?
When you do the turns after that.
Yeah, you're like, fourth and fifth movement, you're like,
I'm dancing for fun now.
Like literally. But up until then, it was just terrifying. Like it was, and more so, less to do with really my own like ego, I guess I want to say, and more to just be like, I would hate to do this debut and it doesn't go well. Like it would be really embarrassing for Black women if all of this press and I didn't do a good job.
Yeah.
Like I think that was more so what I kept thinking to myself. Like I really want to do a good job, not just because it's my debut, but now I have to think like I can't do a bad job because it'll be embarrassing for us. And I think the biggest thing that I always have in the back of my mind throughout my whole career, fortunately, but I guess a little bit unfortunately too, is just like, I'm always like, I don't want people, and the thing is, this is also something with age that I've been like, people are always going to say whatever people are going to say, but I don't want anyone to ever be like, well, she got it because she's Black, it's just because she's Black.
Yeah.
And a lot of that does happen. Like that's my Instagram comments and messages are filled with stuff like that. But so I feel like the one thing that I try to be a control freak about is to be like, well, at least I did a good job.
Yeah.
Because then you can't say like, well, shit, and it was bad, so I feel like that was where the pressure.
That's so much pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Did you have any things that like helped you kind of alleviate any pressure? Like, I mean, like outside maybe, or because that's just so much to
Honestly, yeah. I just like, honestly, and like that year, I think I still was doing flowers.
Oh yeah,
I was still doing flowers and snow, and I just started hot chocolate, and I hadn't started doing flowers yet. So that year I still had a lot of core stuff. So honestly, I didn't really have time, and maybe I did and just was like too anxious to make time to maybe take care of myself mentally a little better. But I also like, and maybe this sounds bad, but I was just like, I will be fine. Like it will not, I'm not going to die. Like it's going to happen regardless, and I'm going to be fine. It's probably going to go just like the rest of my rehearsals go.
Which is a great mentality.
Which is like,
because we forget about that. All of a sudden you get to the stage.
And you're like, I can't do it.
And you're like, how do you point your foot?
Yeah.
Like, I forgot how to do a single.
Yeah.
Pirouette.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like ridiculous.
It's so crazy.
It's like, you've done it probably 50 times.
And like for like 10 years with Darcy Kistler when you were in like C1. Like I'm like, if you can pull it out when you were 14,
Totally.
in Slippery Studio 5, you'll probably be okay. Like, but you get all weird, and it's like it's just like you're just not naive anymore. So then you're just like, I know all the things that could happen, so I'm gonna think about all of those things instead of thinking about the fact that I know I can do it. I don't know. It wasn't even all of that for me. Like I said, it was like all of those other like really crazy deep things was kind of the root of my, I guess, slight anxiety during that time. But I just tried to keep being like, it's not about me, and it's a monumental moment for the company and for Black people, and it's just not, I just kept being like, it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's not about me personally, even though it is my personal lived experience.
Yeah.
But that always feels a little second for me. And I mean that in the best way possible, because it's the only thing that makes me feel like less crazy.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
at ease.
yeah, I'm like, people are dying, and this is not just about me.
Yeah. It's about
Like, there's other things going on, and other people here for many reasons.
And sometimes bigger picture allows us as well, like just to be a little kinder to ourselves.
Yeah.
And not just to have the whole focus on our own success.
Exactly.
enjoy the moment, be in it.
Exactly.
You know, 'cause
Exactly.
You're like, wow, I could be in so many other situations.
Exactly. I could really be in a very, very different, much more cruel situation, and I'm over here worried if I'm gonna hit fifth. Probably didn't, but hey, we did it.
Yeah.
I will say this past year, 2024 Nutcracker, I had a great time.
Yeah, you did so
I
many
was
jobs
I
too.
did so many.
And you're just living.
And I had so many shows in general because I did so many diverse months this year. But I love that I like being on stage a lot because it makes me just be like, okay,
You're comfortable.
another show.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and Dewdrop was so much more fun this year. And there were other debuts this year, so I felt like the attention was kind of like
Yeah, so you can
passed away at this point. Everybody's like, she's old now. Like,
That's nice.
who cares? Which I liked personally. So,
I have a question about your point shoes that I want to touch on.
yes, my babies.
We have to stop. When did your point shoes become, well, not just you, for everybody?
Yeah.
We kind of shifted to skin colored point shoes.
Yeah.
So it stopped being just pink satin, and we had to all shift our point shoes. And yours is a different.
Mine is a different color satin
And
completely.
We
When
like
does that happen?
spray ours to. There's like kind of everybody has different variety of everything. So either it's a different color satin, a pink satin, a different shade of pink,
Yeah.
or you spray to make it like a little bit more
And everyone's tights are like
to their skin
to their skin tone now. Obviously, you can't necessarily tell that Indiana's tights are that different.
How can,
What? What?
I think.
Like, but I actually want to say, because I know, and maybe the audience doesn't know, but because I know, I actually do think it looks so much better on everyone.
It does.
I really do. Even the whitest, the pastiest of the pasty girls, it looks so much better. Okay, now
Continue it.
So, okay, this started when we came back from the pandemic. We did a lot of trial and error. Let me tell you, it was a little ghetto sometimes. We like the costume shop. We did so much work. I'm telling you, we would every stage rehearsal, Mark and like his whole team would come on stage with new swatches and they'd be like, no. And we're like huffing and puffing after we finished like glass pieces or something. And they're like trying new shades of like stuff. And like, it was a whole trial process. And then we like do our first show back from the pandemic ever. It was like 2021. And the first thing we did was glass pieces. That's why I said that. Yes, it was.
Right.
It literally was. And it was so, I mean, what a way to come back with glass pieces. The core had like, we had the best.
So fun.
It was, glass pieces Star Movement is the best. I'm sorry. Yeah, it literally is so, it's a moment where you're just like, I'm just so proud to be a part of the ballet here. Like, it's just so amazing. But I remember this article came out being like, New York City Ballet is back. And it was a photo of the girls coming down in our entrance down the center. And we all were like, oh no, it was bad. Like the first trial was bad. I mean, we had sausage legs because they weren't our normal tights. We had like tights with no seams.
It was the tights that were really thin too. So anything that was like on our body would like, it was really hard to put on. Like it would rip really
easily.
And all of like getting all the different shades.
It was
color.
It was all off.
Orange.
It was all off.
That's so funny.
But like the white girls were orange and red and playing.
You go and get your like a foundation.
Yeah.
Like wait,
like everybody's shade match was off.
Yes.
I was like burgundy and like and the point shoes were the worst part because nobody's shoes matched their tights yet. My shoes were like a rusty, dusty, grayish brown against like this like contoured color on my leg. Like, and I remember all of us were like, oh dear God, this is. Okay, and then we did like another trial where we did like La Valse. We did a ballet with no tights, like a classical ballet with no tights.
As a trial.
As a trial because it was genuinely, the tights we were so bad that they were like, why don't we just like can we just see what you guys look like with no tights on?
Yeah, so like ballet
so we could
with no tights.
Literally, so we did a full, like it was like romantic tutus, like emeralds, like kind of tutus. Yeah. With no tights. And we were doing like, and ponytails because La Valse has ponytails. So we were like, it was the utmost. It was just so odd.
I can totally see myself being like, what about just no tights?
No tights at all.
Let's just save some cash while we're at it.
No tights. Our shoes didn't really match us that well yet. So it was still kind of awkward. And then finally we like a lot of trial and error. Like they were like talking to teams at DTH and like trying to figure out, because they're like the OGs. Like they've been doing this for like
a long time.
Since the beginning of time. Their company has always done shade matching with tights and shoes. That's just like an unspoken rule. And so I think they had finally figured some things out. And then for a while they were just spraying my shoes for me. And I don't know what year exactly Freed actually switched and started making different color satins, but my first shoes came, my first like custom shoes that were brown satin came in 2022. So I feel like they had maybe started working on it around 2020, like around the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I don't know how soon, I don't know anything about like, I was the first to get that. Like, no. I don't know. And nothing about that. Freed probably knows better than me.
No, it's just nice that it's like.
But oh my God, when they came. And I remember everybody being like, whoa, they're so shiny. And I was like, no, they are actually the same exact satin as the pink ones. But for some reason, they like really like. Yeah. They really
do.
I'm here. It's really like, bitch, I'm here.
I love it.
They're so pretty. And my maker's name is Felix. And I met him in London. And he's,
what symbol is Felix?
D. D as in duh. And he was so cool. And yeah, now we follow each other on Instagram.
So cool.
Yeah.
Good. Amazing. Okay, well, I have a final question before we wrap up. We get kicked out and we continue chatting as we run down the hall.
Okay, yeah, obviously.
Okay,
yeah.
I feel like we've touched on like, I feel like now I know you. Now it's basketball.
Yes.
What's your dream role? Just shout it out. Anything. Yell, whatever.
It's a great role.
You can basically say 500 if you feel like just naming every role.
Okay. Duo, concertante.
Okay.
I know. So random.
Yes.
Duo. Actually, second pas de trois and Agon.
Ooh.
I know, so random. I had the most random ones. And maybe like I'm trying to think. Oh, Ruby's pas de deux.
Okay,
I really liked it. I would love to do it at sea level at some point.
Not in Vail.
Not in Vail.
in the mountain.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. No. Now we know. Now we've written it in the dream the stars,
and now it's out there. Yeah. And now it's gonna happen.
Listening. Get that cough out. Now, I have a feeling. I feel like it's gonna happen. Final question for you. Out of all the things that now we've learned from little India to now, is there one piece of advice or one thing that you feel like has just helped you and continues to help you be a little kinder to yourself?
Oh, that's such a great question. Because I definitely am in the middle of that right now. I'm in the middle of a moment right now where I've been trying to remember to do that. And I feel like a few things, but the main, I guess, quick ones would always to be remember where I came from and how proud and how beyond proud I would be jaw dropped to know where I am today, like 10 years ago, 5 years ago, even 20 years ago would blow my mind. I'd poop my diapers. So that always helps me to be like, you wanted this more than anything, and you have it. Like, you literally have everything that you said you wanted: a great apartment, food, a shower, clothes on your back, and a job at New York City Ballet. Like, shut up. Yeah. You're doing okay. And I think something that I also just like, I really, really try to just have 2 feet on the ground and like know that I am just really blessed. I feel like it's all kind of the same. I just try to remind myself of like how blessed I actually am and how hard other people have it, and how actually in reality how easy my life is. Like, I just get to like wake up and go to quote unquote work. Like, it's like, so, you know, some days it feels like work, but a lot of days it really doesn't. Like, we've just got like Lunas and Pippins and dogs running around, and like we just like laugh all day. Like on a normal day, we're all pretty much chilling. Yeah. You know, we have working hard and chilling. It's a mixture. So I just always try to remember to just be grateful and remember that this is exactly what I wanted, and know that I'm still young, and you are still young. I keep being like I'm pushing 30, but
you're 26. So many more years.
I'm pushing 30. Like, she's like, we're nudging shoulders.
And I'm
me and 30 are.
I'm a year older than you, and I got told recently by I asked my godson. I said, "Am I mid-20s or am I my mid-20s or my late 20s?" And he was like, I have one godchildren, the brother and the slightly older one who's just like always is really sweet to me. He was like, "I'd say you're late mid," and then my littlest godson was just like, "You're definitely late." I was like, so I was like, yeah, I feel that. Guys, but you got time still.
I was reading TikTok comments, and the way people are like we're commenting to each other, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's like 24. She's old." No, we got time. We got breath and time. And I'm like, I've never felt younger. I feel great. I keep being like, I'm so thankful for like my health. That's the other thing. I guess gratitude. Long answer short is just like to stay gracious and have a lot of gratitude to the life that I live.
Find love at squared.
Love it.
Just bring it home.
Indiana calls us Indy Squared because that was one of the first ways we.
Oh yeah, because
we never really met. We just were automatically
we're connected somehow.
That's how like me and most of your generation, like me and Sebastian were just like this one day, and then we were just friends.
Yeah, I'm in an Indy sandwich. And India, thank you for coming on the pod. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I truly just really enjoyed my set.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Grace and Form podcast. This episode was produced by Indiana Woodward, Megan Elsie McNally, and me, Saskia Gregson-Williams, and edited by Megan Elsie McNally. This season of the podcast was sponsored by our partners at Discount Dance. If you're really loving the show, it would be wonderful if you take a moment to rate and review us. It helps other ballet lovers find our pod and lets us bring you even more episodes. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.
Have thoughts, questions, or topics you'd like us to explore? You can find us on all social media platforms as Grace and Form Studio. Drop us a message. If this episode has got you itching to move, oh, do we have the app for you. Download the Grace and Form app today and start your 7-day free trial. Whether you're a seasoned dancer or just starting out, there are ballet classes and dance-inspired workouts for everyone, no matter the level. Come join our community of dance lovers and experience the joy of movement for yourself. Again, thank you so much for listening, and until next time, take a deep breath in, be gentle with yourself, and always keep moving forward.